you will reach a feeling how there is a difference among days, among hours in the day. There is a difference among the seasons. There is a difference among the moon. And when you start to observe all that, you will see yourself in a bigger picture. You will see yourself in a bigger understanding. So the Oasis is based on 7 principles. And the first one is what we call the calling. So you are here because in your life happened a call, which means something in you wanted to understand, wants to reach this picture, this understanding, what is it all about, this process, no? Because we are in a permanent process. Nothing is static. Language gives us this idea that there is many things static, no? There is a car, there is a tree, there is a house. We put everything into a static position, but the reality is everything is in a process, in a permanent process. It's all the time moving, it is all the time turning, no? Earth is turning around itself and around the sun. And the whole galaxy is turning. The whole galaxy is moving with a high speed through the universe. So everything is in process, no? And we try to observe, to become aware of this process. And you have been called to it for whatever reason. No one can say when this calling is happening, and we cannot do anything about it. It is something happens to you or not. So the second is that we look at spirituality and psychology. In the beginning, the psychology and the spirituality, the steps are very similar, no? If not identical. So we concentrate, for example, as a first thing, we look to the relationships to our parents. It is fundamental that you reach a certain peaceful position with your parents. If there is no peace in your parents with that situation, then it is close to impossible to go further spiritually. Because your parents are the door for this existence, you have chosen them. And to honor our parents for this point is elementary. And this is why it is written in every holy book. It is written, honor your parents. And it is not a thing that you honor them for their education they gave you. You can be thankful to that as well, if you think it was appropriate. You do not honor them for the love they gave you. You do not honor them for the food they gave you, for the care they gave you, or for all the story. This is not what it is supposed to be honored. You honor them primarily for the simple fact that they had been the door to come here. And when you start to do that, when you start to see that point, the story you have with your parents is a second thing. If you can bring peace there, that would be ideal. If you can love your parents wholeheartedly for everything, this would be ideal. But sometimes it's not possible. There is parents, they have been dysfunctional completely. There were people I know, the mother was crazy. I mean, psychiatric level, multiple disorders, schizophrenic, drug addicted to the highest degree, whatever. Together with the father either not there or absolutely also completely useless. So in between parents who have that situation and parents who were very beautiful parents, you find yourself in your story, right? Probably most of you have a very normal story, no? So it is not difficult to work on that. It's a must to be clear. So this is the second thing. When this foundation is laid down, we can go further. And the work also, be it the mantras you're going to recite, be it the own process of self-observation, will touch you much deeper than it is now. So the third is the matrix. We call it the sacred matrix. And we use, for example, the Enneagram as well. We use also the wheel of the souls, or souls wheel, the wheel of souls, yes, and other things which are laid down in the book of love. We call it the book of love, the Holy Quran. We could also use it in any other way, but it is a complete matrix where you can find basically everything which is in existence. But of course, it is not in the front. You have to know how to read it. You have to know how to unfold it. So the Enneagram is one example of the unfoldment of this book. And we are not using only the prototype analysis, which is so popular nowadays, but we're using more the ancient way also. And this is especially done by Haji Hamida. You will come to know her now. When this system has been given to me by my master, she was a very essential part in it because she was documenting everything. And she had that gift to structure everything and to give it a kind of functionality, let's say. So we are doing this work together, and you will be in contact with both of us. A little bit similar like Almaz and I think her name is Karen, no? She accompanies him. So it's very practical to have this. So there is a woman, there is a man you can refer to. And then we have the sacred arts, or the passion of art, which means we want you to become creative in this world, which means that that you find what we say nowadays a hobby. You find something which you enjoy in this world without consuming. The fifth is the Anthems of Love. We are singing also. You will explore your voice. Singing is, of course, not a must, but we suggest it very strongly that you become familiar with your own voice, that you somehow explore your own physical voice, and by this physical voice you will see that it is very much related to your inner voice also. Coming in contact with your outer voice is also coming in contact with your inner voice. I have never come across a master where I was not impressed by the use of his voice. So, voice is very important. Then we have sacred journeys. Now, of course, we are a bit reduced in this, but let's think that it will be possible again to travel. Then that doesn't mean that all of you are tourists and they go here and there on their own account. But we suggest people to make certain journeys and to visit certain places, which is called in the old time, they have been called tirthas. And these places are special places because they only need your presence. They only need your physical presence to be there, and you will receive something which you may not achieve as easy as just going there. The seventh principle is the respect and the awareness of all other mystic traditions. We do not look down to any other traditions. You do not have to be in a tradition, but if you are already in a belief, in a tradition, then understand that the Oasis system enables you to follow this tradition in a deeper way. It is made in a way that it adapts to every lifestyle and to every circumstances and to every belief. Because the kernel of all is self-observation, right? And how this self-observation works, I would like to invite Haja Hamida now, that she may talk about this to you. So if you can please give her the stage. And see you later again.
Yes, assalamu alaikum to everyone, blessings to everyone. Yes, the self-observation, of course, is the main tool to practice this work, because the aim of the work is to know ourselves. So what is the self-observation? Is a constant effort, a conscious effort of attention that you direct to the inside, to observe the ego. So you need to have a distance, because if you want to observe something, you need to make a step back so you can observe the thoughts, you can observe the emotions, you can observe the body, the sensations. We can say that it's like recording. You record everything inside of you. It is like a neutral person has full access to your inner processes, so you can observe everything that is happening inside of you. But the very important point is that this observation must be neutral, without judgment. This means that when you observe these ego characteristics, even perhaps they are very unpleasant, you don't criticize yourself. You don't judge yourself. No? So you try not to change anything. Observation is not changing. Observation is not thinking. So in this division that you divide yourself into, one part observes, the other part will be observed. And the ego is the one that will be observed. So there is, we call it the observing eye. No? And this observing eye will observe the different eyes that are inside of you. To understand this, you need to know that there is a real part in you and there is a part that is illusion. So the essence, we can call the real part, is what belongs to you because you are born with it. And then the ego is what is being acquired. So essence is reality, ego is illusion. But the ego is acquired during life, but also the ego is connected with the essence, because it's like the shadow of this essence. But the essence is in a sleeping state, and the ego is completely on, functioning, is the active part functioning inside of you. And one of the illusions, because in the ego there are many illusions, and one of the illusions is that you are a unity, that the ego is one. But in reality, there are many different images inside of you, many different eyes, many different masks, that they are changing one by one. And each of them is connected with different parts in your life. So for example, you have some images, some masks, some eyes that you use with the family, another that you use with the friends, another one that you use when you're making business. So you use different masks in different situations with different people. And these different eyes have different ideas. They have different intentions, different moral, different wishes. So they are created in polarity. They are created in opposition. And this means contradictions. This means that inside of you, there are a lot of contradictions. And usually these contradictions, you cannot see them. Why? Because there exists what we call the defense mechanisms, that they're also called buffers. And they prevent you to see these contradictions inside of you. Why? Why? Because it is very painful to see how disintegrated you are. Everyone is. Because in one moment you defend one idea, and then it appears the opposite eye with the opposite idea that is also inside of you. So one eye is very loyal to friends, and then you have the opposite eye also inside of you that is betraying. So for example, a friend tells you a secret, and you swear to your friend that you will not tell this to anyone. And you were with this eye that was the loyal eye, the loyal mask. But then, some days later, you find another friend, and you tell him, I will tell you something, it's a secret from another friend, please don't tell to anyone. So we cannot trust in ourselves. And this is what we want to do with the self-observation, to observe all the masks, all the different eyes that are inside of us. And as I said before, observing is not thinking, because you can think all day long about your inner processes and not to observe yourself, not for one moment, not even one time. So you need to feel there is a separation between the observation and the ego. No, you are not thinking the thoughts, you are observing the thoughts. So you need attention, you need consciousness, you need effort. This resembles like the image of the cat sitting in front of the hole of the mouse. I don't know if you have seen any cat that is in complete attention, focus, look into the hole. Not even one hair is moving. So you must try to copy the cat behavior of concentration, of attention. Try not to be less attentive than a cat can be. And another important point in the observation is that we don't try to change the ego. This is another important thing, because you think that you will transform the ego in something else, and this cannot be. So if we put the ego like a wild horse, you cannot transform this horse. But the problem, and as our master Melana Sheknasim always was saying, you have the horse over you. He's riding you. So what we try to do with consciousness, with self-observation, is we put the horse down and we sit on it. How? Because we don't give energy. We don't think the thoughts. So like this we can become free. And this conscious observation will weaken the wildness of the horse. So it can become more passive, less reactive. And at the same time, the horse is very important because it's your tool. It's your tool to move in this world, in this life. But he must obey you, and not you obey him and be the slave. So the more you can practice this self-observation, you will become more aware of who is behind the thoughts, who is behind the emotions, who is behind the ego, who am I? And then another point that I would like also to say, because it's directly connected with the self-observation, is identification. Because I said before, you don't judge yourself, because in the moment you judge yourself, you fall in what we call identification. And what is identification? Identification means to be absorbed or to be lost in anything external or internal. It's the opposite of self-observation. It's unconscious, it's mechanical. So, absorbing what? For example, if you are angry, you are the anger. If you are sad, you are the sadness. There is no separation between you and the state because you are completely identified with it. This is a defense mechanism of the ego, of course, because the ego doesn't want that you take the energy from him. He wants that you are all the time identified. So identification with external things, you know them very well. Being identified with your mobile, with your computer, with TV, with anything you're looking. Because you can be nature, you can be in front of an ocean, and you can be identified with it. Because you are not in yourself. You are not observing, but in connection with your center. You lost the connection with your center. You are absent. You are identified with the ocean, but you are not there. You turn on the TV and you look for 1 hour, 2 hours a movie. But in these 2 hours, you are absent. And then all the inner identification that, as I said before, any feeling, any emotion that comes, you are identified with it. And these identifications can be strong or can be weak, but mostly everyone is identified, unless you put consciousness inside and you can separate from illusion and you can come back to your center, you can come back to yourself. And what is the first thing that we observe when we begin this process of self-observation? We observe what we call the ideal images. Ideal means that they are not real, they are imagined. So these are all the images created in your mind of how you want to be, how you want to be seen. Do you create this because you don't want to connect with what is not ideal, that are all these unwanted characteristics that are in your shadow? So everyone has this ideal image shining, but as I said, inside there is the polarity, and the other polarity is the unwanted characteristics. With this ideal image, you want that everyone loves you, because the opposite image is connected with your low self-esteem, with your feeling of inferiority, with your fears, with your insecurities. So you try that the other ones like this image, And if someone is not agreeing with your image, you feel unloved. So you try to believe in this image, but of course, inside, deep inside, you know it's not real. So look into the shadow, look into the unwanted images. It's painful, of course, but this is part of the journey. This is what we do through the self-observation. We observe the ideal image and we observe the unwanted image. This is all the journey, to look both of them, because we need to integrate the shadow. We need to reach enlightenment, we can say. No? Carl Jung was saying enlightenment means to put consciousness on what is unconscious. Of course, it's not one enlightenment, it's one little enlightenment after the other one. So, to free ourselves, we need to connect with all the unconscious parts that are inside, all the illusion within. And then you have to face the fears, then you have to face the wounds. No? All the saints, all the enlightened beings, they have embraced their shadows. And like this, you become whole. After the shadow, you go to the wounds of the little one inside, because every wound has protectors. And we will also go to the protectors. And the main protectors are the anger, the sadness, and the fear. And they are protecting you because they make you to look towards the outside, towards the others. And they prevent you to look inside. For example, if you have anger, you focus in the person or the situation that was making you angry. And like this, it protects the structure of the ego. It protects for you to look to the real cause that is inside of you. Would you like to add something about the self-observation?
Yes. So, as Haja Amida already mentioned, self-observation is going to be connected with a certain pain. And not only emotional pain, you will find out finally that it is a path of destruction. You lose at the end everything. As Rumi said, you cannot find the treasure in the house, you can find the treasure in the ruins. So you have to accept in some aspect that you become ruined. And not to become crazy at the same time, you have to also develop a kind of devotional life, a kind of practicing. So I will describe the first step. For example, we start with observing complaint. You cannot observe everything at the same time. So we choose certain pillars, certain attributes which are foundations of the ego. So one is a complaint, the complainer, no? And the complainer is almost all the time on. Yeah. So you start to observe the complaint. And when you look at yourself, in the beginning you say, I'm not a complainer really. I hardly complain, no? But as we said before, it's not about judging you. It's not about talking you also to anything inside. You do the work yourself. You look on the specific aspect of complaint. Then you take notes in the evening what you observed. And you will find out that there is a lot of complaint running. Now, not to be only in this mode that you focus permanent on the unwanted image or on this thing to be down, no? Because when you see complain is easy to digest, you say, okay, I'm a complainer. But if you start to look at lies, if you start to look at hypocrisy, if you start to look on the cheater, on the manipulator, and all these aspects, that is not so funny to see, right? And it takes courage also to see, to allow it to see, but not to just be dismantled and then being ruined on the ground. You need to develop at the same time the energetic body, what we call the energetic body. And to do that, you have to practice certain mantras. For example, with complain, the mantra, the zikr, we call it zikr, is thank you. Thank you, God, if you can say that. If it's difficult for you, you just say thank you. And we start giving thanks to our own heart, because this is easy. Everyone can be thankful and feels this thankfulness towards his own heart. So you would get up in the morning, and the very first thing you do is you touch your heart, you touch this area of your heart. You close your eyes, and for one short moment you say, thank you, my heart. Thank you. And you allow to feel this thankfulness. You will feel it because it is natural in us to be thankful to our heart. So during the day, you try to do that more and more. And finally, you expand it to every aspect of your life, that you become thankful to your entire situation, to your life situation, to the life itself, which means the energy which runs through you, that you are alive, which gives you this feeling, I am alive. This is actually, when we speak about inner life, this is the energy we mean, that you are alive. This joy of being alive will create an incredible gratefulness inside of you if you start to look at it, no? So this is one thing, and we don't want to go too long in all the technical aspects, but to give you an overview and what is the process. So singing is also will support you, for example, in this process. Giving thanks, being grateful gives you support. Practicing not to judge others, not only to judge yourself, but also not to judge others, will give you support and builds up your inner life, this awareness of your inner life, of this body inside of you. And this is a longer process, of course. It's not from today to tomorrow. In our tradition, in the not so far ago, there was a period of 3 years testing. If anyone wanted to become a dervish in our order, in the Naqshbandi order, there used to be 3 years of testing. And these 3 years were not easy, no? So when someone would have passed these 3 years, they would say, okay, now we go in the further things. We do not have that, of course. But just to make you aware that when you start to walk a spiritual path, your life will not become necessarily easier. It will become more intense. That's for sure. And you will feel a very strange process starting. On one hand, you collapse about your own observations. The ego structure will be damaged. You destroy it somehow. On the other side, you release a new energy inside of you. And you will find yourself, even the pain is increasing, you will find yourself also parallel that the joy is increasing in your life. And this is a paradox phenomenon that you may experience also. So it's not about easiness. It is about connection, about how much you are in connection with your own life and with reality. As the ultimate joy, of course, can only happen in the reality. And maybe one little thing we should talk before we go to the very practical things is about the single player mode and multiplayer mode. And I will leave that also to Ajamida. So if you like to explain this, Amida, then it's your turn again.
Yes, the single player mode and the multiplayer mode, they are very important that everyone of you understands to make this work. We say that this life is like a game, like a divine game. And in this game, there is only one player, and this player is you. You, because you are the reflection of the divine, and the divine is the only one in existence. Of course, you can say to me, I look around and I am not alone. I can see many other players in my life. And we say the other players are only mirrors, are only helpers, or there are people triggering emotions inside of me for me to know myself. So the opposite of the single player mode is the multiplayer mode. And it is the mode that everyone is playing, almost everyone is playing. And this means that this is me, I am here, and all the other players are the responsible ones of my unhappiness, of my sufferings, of my problems, because they don't understand me. Because if they would change, my life would be so much better. So the problem is that when you put the responsibility in the outside, that is when you play in the multiplayer mode, you are completely in the hands of the others, because your happiness depends on the change of someone else. This means you have no opportunity. So how can I transform myself if I depend on the change of the others? And when I say others, the other players, this is not only people. Others can be the weather that is not as I like, the traffic that is too crowded, my work, or we say God himself can be another player, because I think that God is not sending to me what I need. That if he would send me what I need, my life would be much better. So if you change to the single player mode, that is the mode that we want to be, you make yourself responsible for your life. Why? Because you say, my life is my mirror. If you want to know how you are, the only thing you need to do is to look into your life, because your external life is the reflection of your inner life. So we say if your life is a chaos, this means that you must be chaotic inside, because your life is only showing how you are inside. It's not your life and you, no. It's a mirror. We say the level of your being attracts your life. The question would be, what is the level of the being? The level of the being is connected with your level of consciousness. It's connected with your inner freedom, with the freedom that you have to move inside. A higher level of being, you have more freedom, of course, because you are less identified with the ego, so you can move more. So there is less pain, less suffering. You are more close to your real self. So the level of your being is attracting people to your life, is attracting experiences to your life, is attracting events to your life. That they are coming to you because they are bringing you a message, a teaching. So we say difficulties are ropes from heavens. Difficulties and problems, as I said before, they are bringing a teaching to you. They manifest in your life because they need to show you something about yourself. If we don't need these lessons, or we don't need this person to come to my life, it wouldn't manifest. So if an external situation or a person is making you angry, this means that this person is activating something inside of you, is touching you right in the point of pain. So it's affecting you means that it has to do with you. It has the power to trigger characteristics of the ego and make them appear and become evident to you if you put consciousness. So everything that affects you, that you believe comes from the outside, is really you that have attracted it to make visible your own ego. In this work, we ask to be in the single player mode and to begin to connect everything in your life with yourself. This means that you begin to realize that you are an active part in the creation of your own life. And when you realize this, of course, you stop many negative characteristics. How you can complain, how you can blame others for everything that happens to you, how you can criticize them if you are attracting this situation towards you. So if the image I see in the mirror is my image, I react. But if I don't see anymore the image, I don't react anymore. Because I have healed, I have observed, I have put the light of consciousness inside. So to play in the single player mode means I stand up, I take the responsibility for myself. And from this inner position, I can begin this work, this Uwaysi work, through the others, through my couple, through the relationships that they will help me to know myself. Because if I look into the mirror of the other one, that can be, for example, my couple, and I see my reflection, my own reflection, like this, I can understand who am I. So what are the best questions that you can do when you are in the single player mode? Why I was attracting this situation to my life? Why I was attracting this person to my life? To learn what? To know what? To understand what? What about myself? We say we all have an energetic field around us, as Sheikh Burhanuddin was saying. So through this energetic field, from the frequency of energy, we attract situations and people that are vibrating in the same frequency of energy. So if you have a lot of anger, but you are unconscious of this anger, this means that the anger is in your shadow. You are not conscious of it. So you will attract situations and people with anger that will show your anger very clearly. And if you put consciousness, you can be aware of it inside of you because they will reflect your own anger. We say similar attract similar. You will attract the same frequency of energy in the outside. And this is the gift, because without this, you cannot see yourself. So this is what we call the law of resonance. we emit, we project an energy into the world, and this energy is drawing in our energetic field situations, people that are resonating with me. We get back what we sent. This is the mirror. So that's why we say your life speaks about you. Your life is your mirror. And like this, we can change. Without consciousness, there is no work. And without single player mode, also there is no work. Because if I still put the responsibility and the blame in the others, I cannot take responsibility in myself and I cannot transform myself. Transformation begins when I become responsible. I hope it is more or less clear. I don't know if there is any question about what we said, because as these are the basic tools for this work, if there is something that you don't understand, is perhaps now is the moment before you begin with the first theme to work. What do you think, Sheh Burhanuddin?
I think we should just describe the practical aspects, the money, the group situation, that we like to form the groups, and then maybe we do the questions. Okay, so we have the whole thing on the table.
Okay.
So the ideal situation is that you are inside a group, and we have now people from all over the world, so that the easiest would be the people who live in their time zone or in the same country, they meet. In some places we have a lot of people, they would divide in groups. The ideal number would be between 8 to 10 each group. And if there are more people in a country, we create more groups. No? Then every 20 days, this group meets online. If they can meet in physical, it's okay, of course, also, but if they cannot, they meet online. And they share their observations which they had during this period. They speak, everyone speaks between 2 and 5 minutes. There will be a moderator. And we hope that the moderator is like, when you have children and you send them to school, there is these school meetings, these evenings with the teacher. And in these school meetings is always the question, who's going to write down all the things spoken in the evening? And then hopefully the teacher hopes that some person will say, yeah, I will do it. And we hope for that person also. For the American, there is one person I have already, he's already with me for a while. His name is Daniel, and I hope that he would do this. So Daniel, if you are present, you could say, for example, you would like to do that. Because I think he's a very, very capable person and acceptable one. Then for the English, there is not, the UK people, there is not one I would appoint at the moment, because I don't know anyone there. For the Argentinians, there is Suleiman, and he would be, if there is any other person like in the same zone, time zone, I would also say that he is the person. German ones, there is Mikhail. Mikhail, he's actually Polish, but he speaks very good German. I would appoint him to be the moderator. Then we have the Emirates, all the Arab countries, and there is Marina and Bushra, they know me. So one of those should do it. Whom have we? Is anyone we forgot? Sarah or anyone we forgot?
We have Italy, and we arrange it.
Yes, Italy. I was saying if you can do it, no, Sarah. Yeah.
I started. Yes. Okay.
And Spanish
Spanish, yes.
would be for Omar. Yeah, that you are the moderator for the Spanish group if there is Spanish people, for example.
Who? Omar.
Omar, yeah, Omar.
Frank.
Frank.
Frank. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because it was not in the list.
Yeah. Omar is here. No?
Yes.
And so that we find this.
And for China, you arrange it with them, no? There is one Susan.
And there is Mona also.
Yeah,
No.
China, I will write.
Okay, good.
And the Chinese people is another thing. Good. So the cost will be 20 euros per subject. Yeah. We have to do that because it is quite a lot of work behind the scene, and in the future we will make it better and better for you to organize all the material easier so that you always can have access to it. And it becomes very clear to you what to do, how to do, the meditations we do, for example, the songs which I suggest you to learn to sing, and so on and so on. Yeah. And also it has to be something where there is an exchange. And so money is the way we exchange. Now we exchange goods. In the traditions, it used to be like this, that when, for example, you visit the master, you always bring something, And now in our time, it is money, okay? So 20 euros, I think, is very acceptable for every person. Hopefully, if there is any one of you who says, I really want to do it, but there is no way that I can pay 20 euros, you write to us and we have a look at it. But basically 20 euros shouldn't be a problem for anybody. And I think this is it, no, Hajamina, more or less?
They're asking someone in the chat where they have to send the money.
Yes.
We will tell them. Yeah.
Of course, we will send you the instructions, no? You will receive them and there will be everything written also about the account where you please send the money. And yes, and so we appoint every 40 days a meeting like this. We will talk specifically about the theme. So as we said, we start with complaints. So the next meeting for us will be about this subject. Mm-hmm. That is the way we monitor you, let's say. In the beginning, we started to monitor every person individually. Then, thanks God, the work expanded and we cannot do that. And now we are giving general answers to the groups which already exist. And we will give as much as we can the questions which you will have on the subjects or the sharing which you have. We will answer this every 40 days. See, the intention for me to do that work is what our master told me. He said, look, if you do that work, if you spread that work, that is your contribution to enhance the level of consciousness on our planet. Because no doubt we are in a time where we are in a transformation. And we have to contribute to this transformation. We have to do our best that this transformation can happen. And we are not just ending up in a total apocalyptic situation. if it has to happen, it has to happen. But what they told me is there will not come a situation where we just disappear from this planet in the near future. But there will certainly come situations which are difficult. And right now we are into one, and it affects everybody. And it will be not the last one. We are now in the beginning of that time. So to create groups, to create people who want to do the same work, who have the same intentions, seeing their own responsibilities, seeing the meaning also, why you are here, to become a happy person, to become a peaceful person, to find yourself with less and less conflicts, with your outside, with your inside. This is the contribution you can give and you have to give. And I think that the system, and in all the years we are doing it now, our experience is it functions, it works very well, and it works very fast. And this is my happiness, to see people unfolding and becoming happier, becoming more joyful day by day, and loving people, becoming loving people, yeah, creative people, and so on and so on. So this is the intention behind. Therefore, make your mind up, and if you are with all the conditions in agreement, then we start the work. So we will send you the introductions then in the coming days. We start the work and we fix the next appointment then also. And that's it. Did I miss something, Hajamina?
No, only that we need to know the confirmation of everyone.
Yes. This would be you have reached the notification by Sarah, yeah, and you just answer to her, and she sorts it out, and then we will respond to it. Okay, we do like this. Please make it happen in the next week, so we are not losing too much time. And if you have questions now, practical questions, then please.
Sorry, Sheikh, just to conclude the technical things. The
Yeah.
group works every 20 days, but they meet you every 40 days, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So next meeting is 21st November with everyone.
Yes.
Good.
For example, yeah. Yeah. Okay, if there is any questions, please feel free to ask.
No questions means that no one understood, or or it is super clear.
Sorry. So I'm reading the 20 euros are for the 40 days. Okay?
Yes, every 40 days. Yeah.
Every 40 days. So then one says he lives in Portugal, which group I should join. You will be, Lukman, you will be informed about that when we see all the list of the participants, but most probably you will be in the Spanish part because you are close there geographically. So how do the groups form? Those of you who live in the same area, the time zone especially, yeah, they will we look to the time zones and to the geographic position, and we will send you these emails from these other people, and you start to contact each other. There is no other way to do that.
Yes.
So same. So this is also for the French one. I didn't understand because of my English. How do I contact Omar? I'm from Spain. Okay, Teresa. You will receive an email also from Sarah, and maybe Omar, you look for the Spanish people then, and you write to them, and so it is. You get the thing. Okay.
Yes, just to clarify, people that are interested, they have to send the information, I'm in, and then after that, we see how they will be forwarded to the people that they might work to, basically.
Exactly. Then I'm doing other exercises. Do I have to stop them? It depends what kind of exercises you do, but in the beginning, especially, you don't have to stop anything. So if you follow, as we said already, a tradition, you see, there cannot, it is like that you intensify rather this process, because you start to observe yourself on a more concrete level, let's say. Yeah. And then in time, you will find out how it is going to work for you. If you keep on doing the same thing, or if you want to change something, this is up to you then. Okay. How Detzel? What means how Detzel? Okay. That is a must be. Okay. Thank you. Also, thank you. We will work with the name of the divine from the beginning. Yes. More or less, we will work with divine names from the beginning. Yes. I'm from Italy. Should I write to Sarah? Yes, you should write to Sarah. How detailed should the report be? Okay, look, you're not sending reports to anybody. You keep your reports by yourself, and we share this when we come together again. And in the 20 days, you share these reports with your group. Okay. So how detailed it should be is up to you. What we like, and you will find it in the instructions also, what we like is that you give concrete examples. For example, when the subject, the first one is complain. So we want you to note down in which situations you complained. Is there a repetition in your complaints? With which people you complain? How do you feel, if you can notice, before the complaint, during the complaint, and after the complaint, for example? Yeah. So this you should write down. It has to be in a way that you share, that you become very effective. Okay, so that when, for example, someone would read, another person who doesn't know you reads the report, this person should be able to understand what has been going on with you. All right. So what we don't want is that you share your whole point of view about the world and everything, that you say, everyone is a complainer, and because we complain because we are not happy with our life, and and that you start to talk your philosophy. This is not what we want in the beginning. You don't teach, okay? You just report yourself factively what has happened to you and how you observe the complainer inside of you. All right? Okay. So, when do you recommend singing? I recommend singing from the very first moment. And it is not only sacred music. You can start to sing anything, actually. You can sing rock, pop, whatever you want to sing. It is about exploring your voice. And you will find out that when you start to sing, you open another door towards yourself. And we will send you some songs. Some songs are from myself that I composed. Some songs, they are from other traditions also. And you don't have to sing only these songs. I mean, it's not a must. It's not, you're not forced to sing them. You can start to sing them, and you look how they work with you. Okay. If you don't like them at all, if you want to sing any other thing, it's very fine. You know, it's not that you have to sing just those things. Okay. So, what is the confirmation we need to give in the next week? Well, you just have to say that I want to do it, and that you send the money in time. Okay. Who will be arranging the UK group? Again, you have to meet. We will send you the emails. You have to contact each other. You make a meeting, yeah, and then you clear who wants to be the moderator. Okay. Hello, I live in France, but I'm English speaking. I'm doing Vedanta, morning pujas. I can continue. Yes, of course, you can continue, Elisa. How do the meeting held every 20 days should be structured? Yes, we give you the instructions how the meetings should be held, and you will find that in the instructions also. Half an hour singing per day is enough. Wonderful. If you sing half an hour, is fantastic. Okay. Who developed the Uwaysi system? This has been, as I said in the beginning, this has been given to me in a night session with my master, who was coming in a kind of dream to me, after he died, 1 year after his death. And from there, the whole thing started. Then, to make it functional, we also took a lot from Gurdjieff teaching also inside, because we found that it fits very well with it. And other things came, the singing aspect came, but it's not something which is new. It all somehow fell in place when we had the basic things together and we wrote it down. Then we saw in time how to develop it. Okay. And this is what Maulana told me also. He said, look, I gave you the basics, but it's up to you to develop it according the people you meet, according the situation you are into it. All right. Okay, so Asma is writing, I'm okay with the Arabic and the European time zones. That's nice. We will give you the time, no? The group which you are into it. What does the word Uwaysi mean? Well, Uwaysi is actually a historical figure who lived in the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he knew about the Prophet, even so he never saw him. So when we talk in Sufism about Uwaysi, it means it is an invisible connection, which people received through a master who is not anymore living at earth, but or in the time of Uwaysi, actually the Prophet lived at the same time, but they never met physically. So it is an invisible connection, usually with a master who is not living on earth anymore, but the connection is very clear. And so I called it Uwaysi because I received it after the death of my master. And for this reason, I gave it that name. Yeah. Because it was a kind of invisible teaching. It was not during his lifetime, even so, of course, I had these teachings from him while he was alive. But the concrete system, he gave it after he passed away. Okay. No, the process is not finished after 40 days or 80 days. No, it goes on, Daniel. Yeah, it is a whole cycle. Is altogether there are 3 cycles, and it is more or less in 3 years or so. Yeah, so it takes a little time. Okay. How can we create a spiritual bond with all masters? Uwaysi way of transmission is still to use by other masters. Is Sufi going first through a process like the Uwaysi? Okay, children, before we go to all these metaphysical questions, I would advise you, start to work concrete, and in time, we can answer those questions, okay? So, just start the work, all right? And then we see all the other things. Is the process like self-inquiry? Of course, it has to do with self-inquiry, but we call it self-observation, all right? It will be showing to you, Asma, how the thing is done, okay? Let's stop it here, because questions are answers, and questions and answers, it's an endless chain, yes? And I think we covered the basic things, and I hope that you understand more or less how it functions. And in time, you will see it much clearer. All right? Ajamila, you want to say anything else?
No, I think it was clear. The organization and the most important things is what we said.
Yes.
And of course, in the next meetings, we will speak much more because
Yes.
endless ocean, but this is the basic.
Yeah. Good. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to the team very much, to Sarah, Omar, Iskander, and all the people who work with us. Thousand thanks. Thanks to you. Thank you, Haji Amida, of course.
Thank you.
And hopefully we see you soon again, and that the divine supports you and makes your life successful in this world in every aspect, and that you are protected, and that your families are protected, and that you stay healthy and fine. Thank you very much. Allah bless you, and see you soon, hopefully. Thank you. All the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good. We say goodbye also, yeah, the team and Hajamina, and we hear soon. All right? Good. Thank you.